Welcome to the Runners Connect, Run to the Top, Extra Kick podcast.
Hello, my running friends. This is Coach Claire Barthalic hosting another episode of the Run to the Top Extra Kick podcast, where we distill down lots of running knowledge into a tiny little daily podcast so that you can become a better runner on the go. Thank you for joining me today and every day this week. Today's topic is soreness. If you've ever physically worked your body, you know what being sore feels like. Being sore after a long run or lifting weights is a sure sign that you've worked hard and your muscles are growing. And not being sore at the end of a race definitely means that you could have run a lot harder and faster. Actually, neither one of those statements is true. Soreness is not an indication of a good workout, and lack of soreness is not an indication that you didn't work hard. Seems counterintuitive, but it's true. So why do we get sore? The truth is that it's not entirely clear why or what the mechanisms involved are, but doing an unfamiliar exercise or doing an exercise that is prone to soreness or simply being a person that tends to get sore more than others are all factors involved. Let's say that you head to the gym for the first time in years and grab the biggest dumbbells you can lift. You press and curl and lift and squat, and you are loving your new fit life. Until the next day when even your eyelids hurt to move. This is called delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS for short. There are a lot of theories of exactly what is happening to cause this pain, but science's best guess is that it relates to inflammation caused by the muscle damage you did in the gym. Inflammation is how your body deals with a lot of problems in the body. And it's essentially like calling out the National Guard to defeat an enemy. Blood rushes into the damaged area to provide nutrients and oxygen for repair, and that extra blood creates heat, swelling, and sometimes pain. So you're lying in bed, crying in pain, cursing yourself for going too hard in the gym, and wondering if you'll ever walk again, let alone run. But soreness doesn't just occur in newbies in January at the gym. It occurs with seasoned athletes and elites as well. There's certainly a kind of twisted masochism in feeling a little sore after an especially brutal trail run or hard intervals at the track. You worked hard, and the soreness is the proof. Sort of. But what if you could work hard, get the same results, and skip the soreness? Sure, you're not getting the same biofeedback loop that rewards you with pain every time you work hard. But imagine walking and, more importantly, running better the next day after a hard workout with little to no soreness. Yes, please. The key to building muscle and strength without unnecessary soreness is to learn what causes soreness for you and learn to train just under that threshold. That could mean strength training more often, but with fewer reps and or less intensity. Or it could mean dialing back the speed on Track Tuesday just a hair so that you still run strong but are pain-free the next day. Last month, I talked about strength training in detail and how studies are showing that the sweet spot for optimal muscle growth is just 5 to 10 sets of 10 repetitions for each muscle group per week. That means you can get away with just 10 squats 5 days a week, and you've got your quads and hamstrings covered in less than a minute a day. 50 squats spread over 5 to 7 days is a lot less likely to produce soreness than 50 squats all at once. And the science backs it up. Studies involving two groups that either did all their strength training on one day or spread it out over 5 days got the exact same muscle growth at the end of the study. But the 5 times per week group got it without the soreness. Another factor that tends to produce more soreness is the type of exercise done. Eccentric loads can produce more soreness than concentric movements. What does that mean? An eccentric contraction is where the load or the stress occurs as the muscle is lengthening, and concentric is the opposite. So imagine a biceps curl. As you curl the dumbbell towards your chest, the biceps shortens. This is concentric. As you lower the weight slowly and lengthen your arm down, this is the eccentric motion, as long as you are doing it slowly and purposefully, instead of just letting gravity pull it down. Another way to think of eccentric motion is that it's the braking motion. Where do we see the braking motion happen most on a run? If you guessed downhill running, you would be correct. Running downhill eccentrically loads the quads, which is why you might feel soreness the next day if you go flying down a mountain trail. This is exactly why the Boston Marathon is so challenging, even though the net downhill would seem to make it a fast course. The damage that eccentrically loading your quads does in the first half of the race turns your quads into wobbly bowls of jelly by the time you crest Heartbreak Hill. So does that mean I'm telling you not to run downhill or do eccentric exercises to avoid soreness? Absolutely not. Quite the opposite, in fact. If you are training for Boston or a Revel race with lots of downhill, you absolutely need eccentric training, and all runners can benefit from it. But a little goes a long way, and spreading out your strength training and your downhill running over days or even weeks can get you stronger and more durable, but without the pain. Okay, so let's say you were all jazzed up about this and vow never to be sore again. You try all these tips and still end up sore. What gives? Well, you could be someone who is just naturally more prone to feeling sore. You can try cutting back the weight and intensity a little and see if that helps, and it certainly should help some. But for some people, a little soreness will happen at times, and it doesn't mean that anything is necessarily wrong. And finally, what if you are the opposite and you don't feel sore? Does that mean you could have gone faster? This is a very common experience, especially in runners as they grow and improve. The week after your very first marathon was a miserable sufferfest where you couldn't even look at a set of stairs without wincing. But your next one, even though you ran it faster, wasn't quite as bad. And then the next one was even better, until finally you get that marathon dream PR you've been hoping for years, and you hardly even feel sore the next day. Could you have gone faster? Maybe you could have, but your lack of muscle soreness has nothing to do with it. Biopsies of experienced marathon runners' legs still show markedly high levels of muscle damage, regardless of whether they report being sore or not. Most likely, the reason that you are not sore is that your body has adapted to the stimulus of running long and hard and no longer calls out the National Guard with pain sirens blaring quite as loud. The bottom line is that soreness is a poor indicator of anything useful for your training and can be avoided for most runners most of the time. You can still run hard, lift hard, and become a fitter and faster runner while still being able to walk normally if you sneak up on your fitness by doing a little consistent work every day, rather than killing yourself less often. And that's it for me for today's episode of the Extra Kick Podcast. I'll be back tomorrow for my final episode of the week. Have a great run today.